The Dukes of Dice are brought to you by Tasty Minstrel Games. Check out all their awesome titles at playtmg.com.
Welcome to the Duchy. It's time for another episode of the Dukes of Dice podcast, a proud member of the Dice Tower Network.
Coming to you from Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation in Breckenridge, Colorado, it's the Dukes of Dice, a podcast about board, card, and occasionally role-playing games. Today, Sean sits down with Michael Canavan from Icarus Tours, along with Mark Streed from Board Game Corner, and Tony McRee from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. They discuss their experience at Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation. Then Sean has a quick interview with Mark Specter from Grand Gamers Guild to talk about his current Kickstarter, Pocket Ops. Then Sean heads back to Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation to sit down with game designer Mike Fitzgerald and Duke City local Nick to wrap up the Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation coverage. And now, the Dukes of Dice. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 147 that we're simply titling RMGV 2017. It is now the Sunday after Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation. I am back at home. It's a 7-hour drive, give or take, from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Breckenridge, Colorado. And for those of you that don't know, this year I was invited as a special guest by Michael Canavan from Icarus Tours to attend this 5-night, 6-day amazing event. This has a bunch of gaming going on. There's a fantastic library, and they've got a great staff that can help teach games. But then there's also this beautiful resort mountain town, Breckenridge, Colorado, which has a lot of great tourist attractions. There's a lot of different activities, horseback riding, all sorts of stuff. And so I get to go here for a week, along with Raquel. We went with our buddies Nick and his girlfriend Marissa. Last year, Alex was a special guest and was able to attend. So this has just been a great opportunity for us and really exciting time. So here's what we're going to do this episode. I recorded a couple segments at the gaming vacation, and you'll hear from some awesome people that were also there. And then, like I mentioned in the intro, there's going to be a quick interview with Mark Specter to talk about Pocket Ops. So let's go first to hear the first segment from Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation. All right, well, I'm here with an all-star panel. Maybe we can go around and introduce ourselves to everyone out there in the Duchy.
Hey, this is Tony from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. Please let me do it, please.
Go for it.
And you're listening to the Dukes of Dice in Breckenridge, Colorado. Yes, I get to do it again. I mean, you let me come on. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Oh,
well, welcome, Tony.
Thank you.
And I'm Mark Streed from Board Game Corner.
Welcome, Mark.
Yep, thanks.
And Mike Canavan from Icarus Tours and Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation.
And Mike, you are the man that's made this all happen. We are all here at this beautiful resort, in this beautiful mountain resort town. Right now, we're in the beautiful game room. Everything's beautiful, surrounded by a bunch of awesome games. How you doing?
I am doing great. We're here at the last day. Everything's gone better than I could have hoped. And, there's a little bit of the tunnel vision in me, it being over in a little bit, because it's a lot of work for us, but it's couldn't have gone smoother. I couldn't be happier.
So now that we've all gotten to kind of experience this, we could tell people what this is all about out there, but you've been doing this for years now, right?
That's right.
What's this all about? What's this combination of vacation and gaming? Because it seems like, two disparate things, but really it's, what's it, chocolate and peanut butter?
That's right, yeah. So our motto is changing the way gamers vacation. It's been that way since we started, and we wanted to provide an option for folks that had limited time off, that maybe their entire family wasn't as excited about gaming as they are. Either they don't want to game at all, or they're just not as excited, or they have a spouse that loves it and wants to game nonstop. But they can take their 2 or 3 weeks off a year and spend one and come with us and get a real vacation at a destination that you guys have seen that is, top notch in the country, and at the same time have an incredibly quality gaming experience with a great library, with a staff that will teach you games and not just check them out for you. That'll give you great recommendations on what you might want to play. So that's what we wanted to marry, is kind of the great experience of an open gaming con with a true vacation and enough time, a week-long event, that you don't feel like you're rushed in either of those.
And I think what's really cool is we're not not too far away from the gaming hall. So there's some people that are here kind of in the, I mean, what is this, the lodge? Oh, it's a lodge, right?
Right, it's a lodge.
There's some people in the lodge, I know, but there's a lot of people that are in these chalets. They're just a quick little walk away, and they are beautiful. These rooms are gorgeous. It would be quite a different story if this were the middle of ski season.
That's right, yes. Yeah. I mean, unless you were a big skier and wanted to ski during the day. Yeah. No, this is, we always put the guests in condos and townhomes, and that provides not only a kitchen for folks that way you don't have to go out and eat every single meal out. You can have cereal, which we provide breakfast and lunch foods in the condos and the townhomes. And then it also allows us to put folks, at first people might think it's weird, but allows us to put folks together. We'll put two different couples in a 2-bedroom townhome. But they're just other gamers just like you on vacation, and most people find out that they make a ton of new friends, much more so than if you're at a big convention and there's 200 to 2,000 people. We have 80 guests, and you get to know everybody really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, best items stocking the condos.
Oh, well, for me, it would be Pop-Tarts. I mean, my gosh, there were Pop-Tarts. I didn't have to... I'm not a big fan of Cheerios. That's okay, Mike. I understand Cheerios is the food for everybody, but you gave me Pop-Tarts, and that was special. Strawberry, too. That was good.
Well, I'm in the lodge, but last year I was in the condo, and I was just amazed at how all the different food was there. I was just like, wow, and it was just the pick of it. So I was really blown away. This year I brought my wife, and staying in the lodge is really nice as well. So both are fantastic places to be.
You'll notice that there's no Miss Vicky's jalapeno chips, because every year when I buy food for the condos, I buy like 3 flats of Miss Vicky's chips from Sam's Club, and all the jalapeno ones go to my game room. So
gotcha.
Don't be looking for them; they're not in there.
Well, I was impressed by the variety and also by the sheer amount. Like, we didn't go through everything. Like, we've tried, but there's cookies and a bunch of different crackers and chips and things like that. And Raquel, who is a notorious snacker, I mean, more like she doesn't want a big meal. She just wants to snack throughout the day. She's been in heaven. So
that's good.
You've kept her happy. So
and we have other. We also have lunch meats, frozen pizzas, and all sorts of non-snack food as well.
I have made the greatest grilled ham and cheese sandwiches while I've been here.
Good. That's the whole point.
But see, you're used to the altitude difference. See, if I were to do it from North Carolina, I would have been okay, how long is this going to take to cook? I'm not understanding these things. Us Flatlanders just don't get that. But here, it was a good thing I wasn't baking a cake.
Yeah, it's a good thing. That your souffle would have totally fallen.
Now, how do pies work out?
Pies?
Yeah.
Who am I, Suzanne? I don't know. I'm not a pie person.
You're at 5,000? I didn't know.
I don't know.
Oh, I was over at there was this restaurant called the Canteen.
Yeah.
And they had an incredible brisket sandwich, and it was really good. But they served me apple pie a la mode for dessert. But the ice cream was missing. So I'm not really sure what happened there on the Alamo.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Their freezer was broken.
It's a Colorado thing.
It's a Colorado thing.
Well, something I'm so used to going to conventions, right? Whether it's Dice Heracon, whether it's BGG, you're in either a convention center or you're in this kind of, I don't know, this area where there's nothing around. There's nothing really to do unless you want to get in a cab, get an Uber. But here we have beautiful Breckenridge that's just a 5-minute walk. Downtown is or Main Street, whatever you want to call it. It's a 5-minute walk from the resort, and there's no shortage of things to do down there. Eat, shopping, they've got escape rooms. It's so cool. And it's such a cool resort town. It's just such a fantastic location.
It really is.
Now, I did notice that they have 2 escape rooms. Now, we got to go to the one. Thank you, Mike, for us getting that taken care of. And
yeah, no problem.
That was fun. Man, we got out. I'm happy to say we survived. It was a really neat spy theme one. Now, did you get to go do that, Sean?
We did the pirate one.
Oh, I want to do that one. How was that?
We were 1 lock away from getting out. We wasted a ton of time. Okay, how do I put this? Because you never want to spoil an escape room, even though 98% of the people listening will never go to this particular escape room, or do this particular one. But there was this one puzzle where we knew what to do. We knew exactly what we needed to do, but the way they were feeding us the input was too quick for us to process it.
Okay.
And so it's like we know what we're supposed to do, we just can't get that information to us. So that was kind of annoying. But other than that, it was really cool. We were like I said, we were one lock away from finishing it.
Now, mine, there was a cassette tape. And the guy goes, I haven't seen a cassette tape. And we had to find, of course, the cassette recorder to play it. And that was probably one of the highlights from that escape room. But I'm like, Breckenridge has 2 escape rooms. And the lady is actually from Tucson, the one we went to.
Yes. Yeah, she's from Tucson. They have another escape room in Tucson.
Yeah.
So where I went to law school. So that was cool.
And we have all over Colorado. So like Fort Collins has several, Greeley, Denver, Colorado Springs. We just have this influx suddenly of tons and tons of them.
Even little old Idaho Falls, where I'm from, we have one in Pocatello and one in Idaho Falls now.
And they're just, some are so elaborate. I'm just amazed.
Yeah, and Bonacore opened one up in Florida, and talking to my friends who were here, they would go, no, they hadn't experienced an escape room, and they were like, how do you start one of these? I'm like, is there a special manufacturer for the lots? I'm like, they go, but actually, you can buy all the furniture at Goodwill. I mean, they're a cheap startup investment, but sometimes you wonder, is there a wave? Is there a curve? But we're talking about escape rooms, not about board games.
All right, okay. Let's talk about board games. So just real quick, let's go around. What was everyone's so far highlight, best board game or best board game experience they've had the whole time?
All right, well, I'll start. So I brought a couple games with me. So I brought Flatline, which I really enjoyed, along with some others, and I think, but Flatline really tops it off. It's a cooperative, fast-paced, real-time, and it has everything I love. Some push your luck, some die, lots of dice, which I love in games. So that was probably the highlight for gaming for me. And beyond that, it would just be playing with Mike's prototype, with Mike and all his prototypes, right? So because he brought so much stuff that I really, really enjoy, and I have the privilege of having Mike close, so we try to game at least once a month. But he brought some stuff, and he had made some changes since I had played last. Really enjoyed his new upcoming titles.
Yeah, so I got to play a couple of those too, and what's interesting is I've played them in the past, and so I've seen the development process, and it's cool to see how he's refining those, changing things. It's just cool to kind of see that process. But also going back to Flatline, I get to play that with you and your wife.
Right.
Really cool, really good, really tough. Renegade is just hitting it out of the park, left and right.
Everything they do. I just really enjoy their whole catalog so far. Really good stuff.
Now, Mike, you don't get a lot of time to game.
No, not as much.
Because you're there to kind of help, to help everyone make sure you're getting people together so they're in the right groups, so that you're teaching games, things like that.
That's right.
But you've gotten able to get a couple games in.
I have gotten a few games in. Terraforming Mars, Great Western Trail, which are my absolute favorites. Taught one of my best podcasting buddies, one of my all-time favorites, High Frontier. But honestly, when I come to these, I really do get a lot of enjoyment of being able to see people get in plays of something that they weren't expecting to be at a con our size or whatnot. When we got to show people Gloomhaven, because I did get one of the first kind of print run Kickstarters of it, that was great to be able to teach people Star Wars Rebellion, to be able to teach people games, Colonist I taught.
Oh, did you? I didn't see that.
That was kind of early in one of the first couple of days.
How far did they get?
They played through all 4.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was impressive. And they played it in pretty good time. It was a 3-player game. So I really do enjoy getting to see people play games that they've been hoping to play for a long time.
You're killing me. You're killing me. I brought the ultimate game.
He's right.
And I had your staff playing last night. You're killing me.
My wife was even smiling when she was playing it, which is a rarity. Yeah. So, Strike. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
And my wife had the same experience. She's like, why don't we have this? I said, because it's hard to get.
Well, I mean, my goodness, we've gone from Team Strike to Strike Nation. There it is. All the rest of them, stay away. I don't care.
That's right.
So, yes.
And my wife said we could totally just build this with some dice and bowls.
And she and I about had a throwdown right here. That's all there was to it.
I can't imagine anyone who wouldn't like that game.
Oh, I can't either.
I don't understand that,
it's
right?
so simple.
Yeah.
Now, for me, Sean, it had to be sitting down with you and playing Lorenzo. Oh, magnifico! Now, that was, first off, if I could teach you, that should tell all your listeners. Yeah, and I know those of you who don't listen to Rolling Dice and Taking Names, you should. But other than that, I'm not the world's best explainer. But for me to be able to explain that game to you and Raquel, and it was Nick, right?
It was Nick, yeah.
Nick. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
And fluid. And I'll admit, it didn't bite with me the first time. It didn't come in and say, hey, you really? It's really starting to grow with me.
Yeah.
So that's been a real true highlight for me to be able to do that. And I finally got to play Viticulture.
Yes, finally.
Wow.
Finally, with 6 people, my wife and our friends were here. And it was almost like playing Twilight Experience. You know what I mean. Twilight Imperium. Because Mike was sitting there thinking, he clapped for us when we finally freaking finished.
They got the slow clap when they
Nice.
finished up.
How long was it?
That was brutal.
Really?
You guys took a break for dinner, didn't you? Yeah.
No, we took a break to go play Diamond Dice.
Oh, all right.
But it's like
intermission game.
It's like any time when you're playing with casual gamers.
Right.
You know, they're not used to they understand worker placement.
Right.
But you're seeing the cards for the first time. You don't know the mechanics of Viticulture. Like Lorenzo, it's tight.
Yeah.
You got to be there.
Yeah.
You got to understand your plan, and then if you're not familiar with
That's
it, like the one person in our group, she did not have good wines to sell,
That's always frustrating.
and didn't understand that what you needed to go do is, because of the hand limit, just constantly go out there and get new orders.
Yep.
Just rotate through that. So that made it a long game for us.
Sure. So I will say, going back to Lorenzo, it was fantastic. You did a fantastic job teaching.
Thank you.
But also, kind of like you were talking about with new gamers versus experienced gamers, there's something that we have. We have the kind of a shorthand to understand and learn new games. We may not recognize, that's that same mechanic from this game, but it's there in the back of our head. So it helps us kind of process those things faster and we can get into it. Man, that game was excellent. It was really excellent. I now have to figure out how to convince Alex to get enough plays of this game in to review it, because I really want to review this game. And I think he'll be okay with it.
I think you will.
I think so.
Especially when you show
He's
him.
not going to like it as much as High Frontier.
No, he's gonna love High Frontier.
I like how the big clunky dice, will that sell him?
It might. Yeah, there are things about it that he will like. When the game has too much iconography, that's when he kind of tends to shut down. But I think that if he can kind of, this is what we call him. We call him the Princess and the Pea, because the first play experience for him has to be just right. I'm constantly engineering that play experience.
Interesting.
I love it when Alex isn't here to defend himself. So my favorite play experience was High Frontier. So
I'll give you a slow clap for that, too.
So this is something that I've wanted to play for a while. I've wanted to play any Phil Eklund game. I have not. I spent some mornings going through the PAX Renaissance rulebook. I watched Edwards from Heavy Cardboard's. They have actually 2 playthroughs, or 2 instructional playthroughs. I watched those, which are up on YouTube, and I now know how to play. I just don't know why I would ever do anything in the game, what purpose it serves. So I'm going to need to be sure to get that to the table soon. But High Frontier, this is one of your favorite games ever, right?
It is, absolutely, yeah. Play it solo, and I also have a friend at home who knows it pretty well now, and we can play through the advanced game together.
Cool.
And this is a game where you are a space agency and you are trying to acquire different technologies to basically go to the different planets, moons, asteroids, to set up these factories, improve your technology. Now, we just played the basic game.
That's right.
And in this game, you have to plan out your routes, how you're getting from point A to point B. And it's not that easy. You can't just say, I'm here and Mars is here, so I'm going to point this way and go this way. Because you have to go through these points of, what is it, energy? How'd you describe it?
So the map is a map of potential energy. Laid out in a way that looks like the locations of the planet, but you have to go through burns, which is effectively changes in delta V for those of us who play Kerbal Space Program or any other, kind of space thing. And So you know how you move around on the map is very, very interesting, and you know I think you probably learned, Sean, what looks like the fastest way may not be. You know, you guys would be planning out a route, and I would occasionally be like, well, you know, you could also kind of go over here and sling around this moon and do these kind of cool things.
Well, as someone who's read a ton of hard sci-fi over the years, the fact that this game includes Lagrange points.
Right.
Okay, so real quick, little science lesson for everybody. You ready for this? All right. So every two-body system, so like Earth and Moon, has these 4 different Lagrange points, which are basically these points of null gravity. So you would just kind of hang in space. You wouldn't get pulled in any particular direction, kind of. And so this game uses that because you can't, if you just want to do a full burn to Mars, you can do that, but it's going to cost you a ton of energy. But if you want to kind of take a longer way that costs a lot less energy, you can do that because you're kind of playing around with the solar system's gravity wells and things like that. This was awesome. It was just the base game, and we probably scratched the surface of, what, 40% of the game?
Yeah, I mean, the base game is there to teach you how to move and to teach you how to use the thruster kind of map that tracks your fuel consumption. And that, because if you can't play the advanced game unless that clicks and you are good at it. And the advanced game opens up really the true game, which is just fantastic. Both solo, multiplayer, it is a slog. I mean, you're probably looking at 4+ hours. I mean, my buddy and I played a 1 mission completion. Usually you're supposed to play to like 2 or 3, and we'll do it in 3 hours, but we know it really well.
Yeah. So now my mission is to convince my buddy Matthew, who has the game, that he totally doesn't want the game and should sell it to me. It's terrible. It's just terrible, Matthew, and you should totally get rid of it at a reasonable price.
It has 4 rule books, Matt.
Yeah, Matthew,
you should totally bail on that.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's just awful. So yeah, that was really cool, and this is the great place to get that kind of game in, right?
Yeah.
So
and not feel like you're being hounded by go do this or you need to go over here. I mean, it's just come in here, drop down, have the game, and unless your family's telling you, let's go, we gotta go to the gondola, it's gonna shut down. Oh my God, the gondola. Okay, fine, let's go to the gondola. Wow. So
the second mission that we have now is when you're back on the show in September, Mike.
That's right.
We have to figure out how to convince Alex to play this so we can review it.
It'll probably involve a body bag and a trunk driving him to like an escape room where the only way he can get out is playing High Frontier.
I love it.
Oh boy.
I'll do it for him.
Okay, sure. All right, so real quick, we're going to kind of wrap this segment up here, but what has been everyone's highlights, non-gaming, going out doing stuff in the area, food, excursion type thing, whatever? What's been the highlights?
Oh, just the area. I've never had the opportunity. I've been to Colorado for business, but I've never been here for vacation, and having that opportunity to enjoy some of the hiking. I love to hike, and I'll admit these mountains are a little bit different than the old flat ones in North Carolina. Yes, they are. But that and like you said, Sean, just being able to. I'm 5 minutes from the main street. That has been incredible.
Yeah.
So that has been probably the biggest thing I've had to enjoy out of this convention, if you want to call it that. It is truly a vacation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and for me, I'm from Colorado, so I've been to Breck many times. But, I really enjoy the hiking here and just exploring the town every time we come, and all the different food choices. It's definitely a resort town, and it just has that nice little small kind of niche kind of feel to it, that just some historic, rustic places to check out. I really like that. Did you happen to go, Tony, to the Ghost Town hike that I sent you?
The Ghost Town, no, but we did do Banker's Tank hike because the lady who Mike hooked us up with on our little adventure, she said don't go there yet because it's still because of your late snow.
Yes, this is
true.
true.
It was pretty rough. Now, before we move on, Mike, congratulations on picking this week. Everywhere we went, everybody says you've picked an incredible week to come here because it is the mud season. What is
earlier than this is they call it the mud season. It's mostly a May. It's just mud everywhere because all the snow is melting. But this is this is a week or two past mud season.
And it's just we had to wait an hour for a restaurant. I would hate to see what this place is like next week when they say everybody starts showing up.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
What about you? What was your favorite thing, Sean?
So we actually got to do, and I don't remember if we talked about this now or in the segment we previously recorded for Rolling Dice and Taking Names, but the gondola ride was really cool. So it's not a Venetian gondola. It's kind of a little lift, kind of like a ski lift, but it's fully enclosed. I don't know, like 6-8 people could probably fit in there. And there's a bunch of different stops. So it takes you, up the mountain to this one other resort and then takes you somewhere else. And it was just really cool, really scenic. I got to say something. I am deathly afraid of heights. We have in Albuquerque the longest tram in the world, going up the Sandia Mountains. And I've been up it 3 times. 2 of those 3 times I have hyperventilated.
Wow.
And so Raquel's like, we need to go. I was like, no, thank you. But we went. And fortunately, I don't think it was ever higher than like 40 feet off the ground. The tram in Albuquerque is a couple hundred at certain points.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So we went up. We went to the resort. We were there for a happy hour. We had a couple drinks, had some appetizers, fried cheese curds.
Oh, yeah. You were carrying them back today.
They were delicious. It was just really cool, and it was just beautiful. I mean, some of these sites. I mean, there was a little bit of like these marsh areas, and then you've got the forest, and you've got these like mountain meadows. It was really cool.
Is that the Cucumber Gulch preserve right there? I think because it's shut down. The preserve because all the animals are mating right now or giving birth.
Something like that.
Because we went there and they said no, you can't go there.
Oh, okay.
So what would you have done? Because when I was riding the gondola, there was some oscillation.
Oh yeah.
We were like, whoa, we don't need this fun ride.
I had a couple really quick short breaths. I said, pull it together, Sean. You're fine. You have to be this big manly man in front of Raquel.
Right. Now, did you check out the sister lodge to this one, the one up on the hill?
Yes.
Isn't that gorgeous?
It was gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Did you go bowling?
Did not go bowling.
We went bowling. The mine shaft.
Right.
That was a blast.
It's a cool place.
It was loud.
Yeah.
That's okay, but that was fun.
Such a cool place. Yeah.
Good.
So, Mike, are you able to do any family type stuff while you're here?
My wife finally dragged me out of the game hall yesterday, and I went down to the restaurant we've all been mentioning, the Canteen, and had the brisket, which was great. But I started getting cold chills. Someone was probably putting a game away without a sticker, so I did have to run back up here.
How do I play Terraforming Mars?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sticker's not on there.
There's someone up there that needs to know how to play Zolkin, and I'm not there. No, I picked up, my staff this year. I picked up a few more staff members, and I like to think that they can't run it without me, but they can. And I got back, and there wasn't people running, screaming through the streets on fire or anything. Everything was fine. No, but I don't get out much. No, I do.
Yeah.
I do kind of man the game hall, and kind of send my staff out on all the fun stuff. The dinners out that we organize, the happy hour, the bowling at the mine shaft, the escape room, the organized hike. We did the whitewater and the horseback riding this trip. No, I pretty much just man the table, walk around, and see if anybody has rules questions.
Wow. So, so how do I become? I'm an Envoy Herald, Stronghold Knight. I do all the demos and stuff. How do I become an Icarus Tour demo guy? Oh, we'll go offline. I don't want everybody to get in on this goodness right here. I think
it's an exhaustive process to become one of my staff members, which typically involves being a close friend of mine.
You live too far away there, dude. I can't do that. And Graham Poopah, you forgot to mention that on the back of his jersey, Graham Poopah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I thought owner was a little bland, so we went with Graham Poopah.
I like it.
Well, I do have to say that I've had just such a fantastic time. So far, I've played over 30 different games.
Oh, that's
great.
Awesome.
Nice.
I've got a whole list here. It's going to be great because I'm gonna have these for weeks to come to talk about on the show. A ton of different games.
That's great.
But what's the future then for Icarus Tours?
So next year we are moving to Park City, Utah. It'll be the last week in June 24th to the 30th. I've already seen the site. I've signed the contract. We are all set to go. Seen the game room, just as gorgeous as this. We have real windows with sunlight that comes through them, which is great in our game rooms. A kind of a novelty for gamers.
Absolutely.
Similar accommodations. I actually think the condos there, how they divide them are better. Here, everybody has their own bathroom, but it's not always it's not always kind of mastered to the bedroom. And there, every single bedroom has a bathroom connected to it. And they have a bunch of other housing options. And in future years, you will be able to kind of choose the type of housing you want. You don't have to do the combined condos that we've been so successful with in the past, but we will still offer that. And then we are planning on, after Park City, possibly going to Lake Tahoe. But that is, I don't have a contract on that yet, but that's kind of where we're planning on going. But Park City next year, it's got all of the Olympic attractions from the Winter Olympics that were there, the bobsled ride, the luge. Salt Lake City is only about 30 minutes away. They have the Hogle Zoo, an aquarium, a number of museums. Great city. Salt Lake City is such a neat city. So that's where we're headed to in the future.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. Do you have a favorite location of all the places you go?
Do I have a favorite location? Well, I think right now, Breck is probably my favorite out of it. When I started, we went to Jackson, right? My first 3 trips were in Jackson, Wyoming, and Jackson's my backyard. We go there on weekend trips all the time.
Right.
But it's tough to get to. When you take everything into account, it's tough to get to. We may, in the future, find ourselves back at Yellowstone National Park.
Oh, nice.
No details on that, but it's conceivable. It probably won't be out of Jackson.
Yeah.
We might be looking at a different destination, but that would be probably a second trip. We plan on really doing Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation, exactly as it is, changing destinations between Breck, Park City, and Lake Tahoe. But we have some future plans that you need to stay listening to the various podcasts in order to hear about.
You let me know. Rolling Dice will have you on. You just let us know.
I'm looking forward to it when you review High Frontiers.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I'm not going to. I know better. I gotta send Alex out of country again and get back over there. My gosh.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you so much for having us all out. This has been just an incredible experience. Definitely set apart from the other conventions in my mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys all for coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Talking with the guests, hanging out for a week. You guys have been fantastic.
All right. Well, this has been Sean.
This is Tony.
This is Mark.
And Mike.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Convention season is well underway, and Tasty Minstrel Games will be at Origins in June and Gen Con in August. And some really exciting news. If you're going to be attending Origins, they will be doing a soft release of Jiraku, Lemuria, Okidoki, and Samara. In addition, it's also the official wide release of the second expansion for Orleans, called Trade and Intrigue. And hey, did you know that Tasty Minstrel Games has a podcast? Well, they do, and it's hosted by Lance Mixter, the Undead Viking. Go check out the Tasty Minstrel Games podcast. They'll provide insider info, give you information about some of their new releases. They'll have special guests, usually including people from TMG, but there might be some other outside guests as well. They'll give you information for various contests, talk about game design, all sorts of stuff. Definitely worth checking out the new TMG podcast. So please be sure to check out information on all their newest releases over at playtmg.com. All right, well, there's a lot more coverage of the Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation, but first, I want to jump over to an interview I did with Mark Specter from Grand Gamers Guild to talk about Pocket Ops, which is currently on Kickstarter. So let's take a listen. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming on and telling us a little bit about Pocket Ops. But before we talk about that, what I want to do is find out a little bit about who you are and what's the deal with your company, Grand Gamers Guild. So why don't you let us all know about that?
Sure. Well, Grand Gamers Guild is the publishing company that I formed just a little over a year ago. And we had our first Kickstarter for Unreal Estate back in September to October of 2016. We are just on the cusp of fulfillment. In fact, when we're recording this, I am, next week I should get the phone call that my shipment has arrived at the distributor. And I'm going to pick it up and handle all those packages. Very exciting. I know it's kind of geeky, but I am genuinely excited about the fulfillment process. And we simultaneously published another game called Streed without using Kickstarter. So those are actually both coming in and are going to be fulfilled. And then, we're launching right into Pocket Ops in the beginning of June.
So what's your history as a gamer? Because, I mean, obviously you got to be into the hobby to want to publish these games.
Yeah. So, when I look at my gaming history, way, way, way back when I was a kid, I have distinct memories of playing 2 games with my mom. One was called Haunted Mansion. The other was called Greed. And I looked them up. They're both in the BGG database. And then you can fast forward to the point until I was about 16 years old. And I started playing Dungeons & Dragons. And did that for a number of years. Then went to college, and then kind of all of social life came to a stop. Electronic gaming, board gaming, even pleasure reading. College just killed all those things. And then after I got out of college, I started up D&D again. And around about 2004, I met someone in the new city of Grand Rapids where I was living who basically said, "Hey, I'm a gamer and I do this stuff, and you should really come to Origins with me." And it turned out that I wasn't able to get to Origins actually until 2005. But once I did, it was just mind blown. And after that, I started volunteering for the convention itself. And then I started being a GM, and I ran events I did Alien Frontiers for Clever Mojo. Actually, they were Clever Mojo back then. I did Homesteaders and Terra Prime, 2 great games from Tasty Minstrel that, are gaming history now. And then I started running an entire demo team where we run events. We ally with about a dozen different publishers to run events for them at conventions, Origins, and Gen Con. And then just about a year and a half ago, I was listening to the Building the Game podcast with Jason Slingerland. And he was kind of lamenting some back and forth issues he had with one game with 2 different publishers. And I was in the car. I put the podcast on pause. I'd been thinking about publishing for a while. And I called him up and I said, "Dude, I'm going to publish your game." And, but 6 months later, we actually wound up publishing what became Unreal Estate, which actually wasn't the game that he was talking about on the podcast. But, and now here we are moving into project number 3. Second project on Kickstarter, third gaming project.
So are you still in Grand Rapids then?
Yes.
And
been here for 18 years.
And so I'm assuming that's kind of the inspiration behind the publishing name, Grand Gamers Guild?
Yes. Grand Gamers Guild, the Grand for Grand Rapids. And then the nature of the guild, and this is a little bit of hindsight being 2020, but when I looked at the image and the representation I was trying to cultivate for myself as a company, way back when I got married, I know I'm gonna rabbit trail here. My wife and I moved to Belgium for 4.5 months. She had an internship with the European Union. We lived in Brussels. It was an amazing time.
Oh, wow.
And in the middle of Brussels, they have an area called the Grand Place, which is this giant market square surrounded by these guild houses that are just amazing. And when I think of a guild, I think of secrets, and I think of membership, and I think of camaraderie, and you get behind the door and you are let into the tricks of the trade. And so as I build my company and my image, that is the kind of thing that I am trying to cultivate. A group of gamers who feel like they are part of a unique entity, the Grand Gamers Guild.
Okay, very cool. So you sent us a copy of Pocket Ops, which, I wasn't sure what you were going to send us, and I get this package, and normally when I get, a package that has a game in it, it's a good box, good size box or whatever, even if it's a prototype, right? So here comes this plastic bag with a dozen pieces, a board, 18 cards, and some other components, and I'm like, huh. Okay. But it's, and then to top it all off, this is Gamers Tic-Tac-Toe. And I'm like, okay, go on. So, tell us a little bit about Pocket Ops.
Sure. So basically you had the same reaction that I had and that everyone has the first time I put Pocket Ops in front of them. I found Pocket Ops back at Protospiel Ann Arbor in 2016 when a friend of mine who was there with me comes up and he says, dude, you got to sit down and play this game. And he says, it's built on a tic-tac-toe framework. And I sighed and I rolled my eyes and I said, are you kidding me? He said, no. You got to sit down and play this game. So I said, okay, fine. So I go over to the table, I play the game, and I was a skeptic. But, man, the light went on. And after that, it was just, a couple months, got a contract, and it was a no-brainer. Because, like I said, everyone has the reaction you had. Their shoulders slump. I can hear their mental sigh and eye roll. But once you play it, the light bulb goes on and you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually a game. And look, I have 3 kids. I've been to restaurants. I've been through countless games of tic-tac-toe where you just want to throw your hands up and beg for the food to arrive. But this takes it to another level. With the deduction and with the special powers, I guarantee you sit down and play this game and you will never look at it in the same way again.
Okay, yeah. And I think I had a similar experience. So to kind of just briefly go over the gameplay, what I find really interesting is you're not just putting one of your pieces on the tic-tac-toe grid, right? There's a little bit of bluffing, a little bit of guesswork, because ultimately the opponent is going to pick a card from their hand, put it down face down, and you then say, okay, I'm going to put it in this square. If they guess the correct square, you don't get to place it that turn. You lose your turn essentially, right?
Exactly. So it's a layer of doublethink because as the board develops, you're right. At the beginning, you kind of learn your opponent. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your brother. You think you know how they think, and you throw down your first guess of where you think they're going to place their piece. Sometimes you get lucky. More often than not, you don't. But as the game develops, and you're actually going for your 3 in a row, for your tic-tac-toe, it becomes a situation of, well, are they going to go for the obvious win? Are they going to go for the block? Are they going to set up 2 wins so that I have to think about where they're going to go? And then it becomes a situation of doublethink. How deep does he or she think that I'm going to think about where I'm going to go? And that person's job then is to predict where they think I'm going to go. And if they're right, boom, I'm off the board. If they're wrong, I hold my position. And then on top of that, we, I'm sure you're about to get to the special pieces, the assassin and the hacker and the sniper, that give you what we can classify as kind of a leader piece that takes an action above and beyond that. So there's a little bit extra benefit, but a little bit of extra risk when you put that piece on the board because it's a one-shot use. And if they guess where it's going, it's out of the round and you've given up one of the huge advantages. So it's a matter of when am I going to use that piece and how am I going to use that piece to tip the game in my favor?
So, and we were kind of talking off air that what this reminds me of is that, the Goblet Gambit or the Glass Gambit, whatever, from Princess Bride with Vizzini, right? Where it's, I know that you know yes, that I know the Battle of Wits. There you go. And I love that. I find that so entertaining because it's kind of like when you're playing paper, rock, scissors, you want to think that you threw the right thing because you're in your opponent's head. I mean, you're probably not, and it was probably a lucky guess, but there's that little part of you that's like, I totally just outsmarted you. And that's really satisfying.
Gamers like to feel clever. So, and when you nail it, it's like, dang. I mean, heck, even if you make your first guess correctly out of the gate, it totally, it's an emotional high. And this is a game that I think you had said you'd played with a good friend. I've played this game with my kids. My kids have played this game with each other. It is a game that plays at all levels. And
how fast do you think the average game is? How long does it take?
Well, you play for best 2 out of 3. So basically, I mean, I've seen people overthink it. And so maybe 30 minutes if you're really trying to suss each other out. But typically you're talking 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. This is absolutely the game that you're going to bring to the restaurant and you're going to play in between ordering and your food being served. You're going to play it standing in line, waiting for, the movie to start. I saw James Hudson of Grim Stories fame took a picture playing it on a tray table on a plane. Nice. Which was totally cool. I mean, some people might say that the micro game is over. I don't think any time for any good game is really over.
Sure.
So, and I really am in love with Pocket Ops as a product, as a small gamer experience, and I hope that can be conveyed to people, because in some ways I feel like I'm really taking a chance with this product.
Well, and I feel like there is value in those small footprint games too, because there are some games that come in a small package but wind up taking a huge amount of space. But yeah, if you could play this at dinner, because you think about it, you go to dinner and you've got, bread on the table, you got drinks on the table, you got all sorts of stuff, you've got, beads of water that have been, condensed there. And so you don't have a whole lot of room to play. And so I think that there's definitely value in small footprint games that offer, really solid depth relative to their size, relative to game length and things like that. And I think this totally fits that bill. So
yeah. That is what we were going for. I think we nailed it. We put a spy theme on it because, it's going to be like you're infiltrating a building, you're two rival spy masters trying to second guess one another. And I would be remiss if I did not point out the people. I mean, I'm the publisher, right? I get to be the lucky publisher, but I want to say out loud that this is a game by a gentleman by the name of Brandon Barron. It's his first design that is being published. I'm sure he has other designs. And art and graphic designer by Josh Capel, who has so many games to his credit. I think if you spun around and threw a dart in a game store, you'd hit something that he was involved with. He is extremely, extremely talented.
So let's briefly talk about the campaign. What is the price point for a copy of Pocket Ops?
Sure. So for a single copy of Pocket Ops, it's going to be $14 with free shipping inside the United States. There will be other levels where you can either buy multiple copies, that is to say 4 copies or 10 copies. That'll reduce the price per unit by a couple bucks each. And we also decided to pair up Pocket Ops and Unreal Estate and Pocket Ops and Stroop for people who were, say, late to the party on my first Kickstarter campaign. And, of course, Stroop actually never had a Kickstarter. We want people to be able to have all those products as well.
Okay. Now, as far as components go, because I just got a prototype copy, but what's the final product going to look like?
Sure. So the art you received is 99% final, the art and graphic design. So you have a board that's, maybe, I'm trying to remember, like 90 millimeters by 90 millimeters. That's what it is. And has a little tiny blueprint of a building. The components will start out as a punch board, but we hope to upgrade to wooden meeples as well as screen printed chits through stretch goals. The cards that you received are generic cards. But we hope to upgrade to unique art on all the cards through stretch goals. And yeah, it's the kind of box, small, pop it in your backpack, teach someone to play in 5 minutes, and you're rocking and rolling.
So by the time this interview is up, the campaign will be up and full running and hopefully successfully funded. When does the campaign end?
The campaign is slated to run June 6th through 26th. As you know, there's a lot of components that need to come together to bring this thing to life. So we're, putting it all together and aiming for that time frame. If we're a day or two off, which I don't think we will be, I got a great team, but it'll be hovering right around there.
Now, obviously, you're super focused on Pocket Ops, right? Because you got a whole campaign that you're running for it. What's the future though of the company?
Okay, so, a lot of companies put out a game and then they try to go big. Obviously, we put out 2 card games, and then we went small. Immediately after this, we are going to be looking to do 2 games are already signed and in process, being final development and art and all those fun things. The first is a game called Colonies. Working title currently is Colonies of Venus by Daniel Rocky and Daryl Chow. And then we have Endangered. By a gentleman by the name of Joe Hopkins. And done a lot of talking about Endangered. We actually had planned for that to be next after Pocket Ops. But Endangered is such a special project. You're conservationist. It's a co-op. You're working together to save endangered species. And it's taken me a while to find the art style that I wanted to. And there's a lot of art in this game. So I wanted to make sure that it was going to be 100% evoking what we wanted it to evoke before we, proceeded on that. And when you're trying to craft something well, I'd rather take time and have it take a little more time and do it right than to rush it and have the emotional tone of the game be subverted by art that didn't really meet what we wanted it to do. So lots of art coming out for that. Looking towards moving on that towards end of this year, early next. And Colonies of Venus will be somewhere in between there. Colonies of Venus is a dice placement game in the spirit of one of my other favorite games, Alien Frontiers.
Cool.
Where you are collecting resources to place, to colonize and populate Venus at this point. Although with Venus being a very popular destination these days, we might, like I said, it's a working title. We might change to another area of the solar system.
Okay, fair enough. So if people want to follow you or get all the latest Grand Gamers Guild news, what would be the best way to do that?
Sure. So on Facebook, you can just look up Grand Gamers Guild. I'm on Twitter at Grand Gamers Guild, but you drop all the vowels because of Twitter character limitation. And then, website, grandgamersguild.com. We have a lot of stuff going on there right now. We have ongoing contests where you can put in your email address to just be part of the newsletter and enter whatever promotion we have going on right now. And then, of course, we're going to be at Origins and Gen Con. So look us up there.
Very cool. Well, let's be sure to hook up at Gen Con. I'll be there.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you very much. I appreciate the time and best of luck on the rest of the campaign.
Thanks, man. Talk soon.
Well, you've got until June 26th to back Pocket Ops on Kickstarter. It's currently at $8,881 of its $5,000 goal, and a $14 pledge gets you a copy. It's free shipping with the U.S., and there's some other shipping options if you are outside the U.S. So please go check that out. All right, well, let's head back to our RMGV coverage. All right, so it is Friday night, the last night of Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation, and I'm sitting down with my good buddies, Nick from Albuquerque. You've heard him on the show a couple times. How's it going, Nick?
Hey, everybody.
And the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Fitzgerald, veteran game designer. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Baseball Highlights 2045, first match.
Oh, yeah, it will be. It probably will be, yeah.
Put that one right in there.
Good job, Mike. Good job. So earlier, I had a chat with Tony and Mark and Michael Canavan. We kind of more of a top-down view of the con, the gaming vacation. And I want to spend a little bit more time talking about board games, since this is a board gaming podcast after all. So what were some of the games you guys got to the table, some of the highlights? What'd you guys do?
Well, in addition to playing an awful lot of the new games, we got some of the, my girlfriend and I got some of our old hats back to the table. We played Terraforming Mars, I think, 4 different times with different groups of people.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was great fun. And then a few other ones that are some of our favorites, like Manhattan Project Energy Empire. Played a scheduled play of that, so that was a sign-up sheet that was provided the day before, so we knew exactly what time and what group we were playing with, which was kind of nice. And then we put sides to the table, and I think that's the first time she had played that. Always great table presence with that game.
That was our first game of the convention.
Oh, that's right, it was.
Yeah.
It was the first thing we pulled out.
After a 7-hour drive.
Oh my God.
It's 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, and we decided, hey, let's play Scythe, 5-player Scythe.
So it might not have been a 7-hour drive if there wasn't, I don't know, an hour and a half detour there where we got lost.
Yes.
But,
we did get lost. We took a wrong turn, and we were driving on the scariest cliffs I've ever driven on. And going up the mountain was fine because we were on the inside, but then coming back I was white knuckling. I was driving. I was white knuckling the whole time. I was kind of freaking out, but
it was an important thematic view to start the week.
Yes, yeah, very, very much so. So, Mike, you, as a game designer, you have a ton of games in various states of development.
Yes.
And I think what's really cool is I've been able to see some of them in conventions past and see how they've kind of progressed. So what were some of the ones that you've been working on that will likely be coming out soon?
Yeah, I came here, this is right up there with my favorite experience every year because you have the fun of going out, and my wife was here for the week too, so we go out and have fun in the outdoors, and then we come in here and play games. And I usually have a double agenda. I've got a few prototypes I want to run to answer certain questions about the development, and then play a lot of stuff I already love. I mean, I'm almost a gamer first, a designer second. I just love playing games. So coming here, I wanted to work on Diamond Dice, which is a game, nothing's final yet, but I'm trying to get Bonacore before, at Stronghold to do it. So we're going to probably decide that at Gen Con.
Okay.
But it got a great reception here. The latest version had to fix a few things.
Well, I'll help you liquor him up at Gen Con.
Yes, okay, that'll be good.
Okay, good. That's the plan.
Also, I have a game that is just about to be signed. We've agreed on the contract. We just have to get it and sign it. I originally called it Scorecards. It's changing a little bit. It's a homage to cribbage. I've been working on it for a couple of years now, and one company took it. They went out of business, and before they could do it, came back. I worked on it some more. I think it got a lot better, and so I'm very excited that's coming out. And I did even play Dragon Island here, which comes out at Gen Con. It's coming off the printing press as we speak. So that was fun to get people's reaction to the last version.
And Dragon Island's gonna be from R&R?
R&R Games. Yep. So that one is all set. The art's great. I'm very excited about that. So and I have another one that's just an alpha, so I've got like 4 in the pipeline, and I have my Mystery Rummy Legacy game.
Yeah.
Is being looked at by a major company now, and there's a couple other companies after it. So once they come back and they may say, yeah, we want it or we don't, then I'll try to fix it up a little more maybe and move it to these other people that want to see it. So that's that process. Nowadays, especially with so many games on the market and so much competition, the process I've noticed has become a lot longer than it used to be.
Sure.
Used to be able to, yes, we're going to do this, and they would get it right in the hopper. Now they've got a real long queue of games at different stages in their company, like we do as designers. So it can take a long time.
So I think one of the reasons we're both here is we're special guests, and I think that it's a lot of fun for other guests here to get to play with you, a noted game designer, and get to kind of peek under the hood of game design, because very much depending on where these are in the process, these games are the rules are kind of mutable, right?
Yes.
Because they're like, let's try this instead.
That's right.
Or, well, you said it this way, let's try it this way instead. And I feel like that's a really cool thing for a lot of gamers to see, how the sausage is made.
Time and time it comes when I play test with a group, I'll notice something that's just too bumpy. I mean, I thought it wouldn't be a problem when I designed it that way, and even among my close friend playtesters, they're fine with it, but you get out and you see something, and I would just say, that's not working. And it's not that they say anything, but you can just see they've got to sort of ponder it or they'll say, what should I do with this? I mean, I have a choice here, but I don't see the better one for me. So I'll say, there's something in there that's not right. Let's try it this way. And so you can change it right away. Now, I'm blamed a lot for changing the rules just so I'll win. but that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just, on the fly, try something, and that's very exciting. And I'm very pleased because I really think somebody playtesting a game that's not finished is really doing something great and generous, because there's so many great games out now. You can sit down and have a perfect experience with your favorite game at a place like this. But some people would come up and say, no, we want to see, as you say, what's under the hood. Yeah. We'd like to be involved in the process. And that's just great to hear. And I really appreciate it because it's good stuff. Did you find it helpful here? Because the demographics here aren't necessarily all hardcore gamers like you would find at BGG. There were, significant others of gamers. Mm-hmm. There were some families. There were certainly some guests that just weren't heavy gamers at all. Right. Not heavy gamers, but you know what I'm saying. So especially for the kind of games I normally design, which are in the mid to light area, yes, that's tremendously beneficial, because I know what hardcore game is going to tell me. It needs more agency. It needs more complications. It's going to happen. More choices. That's not always my primary target, and it's not always what I'm trying to do with the game. So it's really good to see how other people might react as well. And you try to please as many people as you can with the game, but you do have to make certain decisions in the end. Okay, I'm going to do this because I know this type of gamer might prefer that more. So what were some of your gaming highlights from the week? Oh, so many. I mean, I wanted to play the want-tos, the games I wanted to learn. I learned Honshu. Great. Yeah. played Flamme Rouge, which I had a copy and had played once before I came here, so I played that several times.
And I've been dying to play this since I first heard about it at BGG, because it was circulating at BGG-Con back in November. And it's a fun little bicycle racing game. You have two bicyclists, and there's a little bit of hand management. There's this cool drafting. You're trying to draft. You're not trying to be in the lead all the time because you're going to get some exhaustion. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
I finally won my first game after like 6 games. It's for me and a lot of players, you get into points where it's trickier than you think it's going to be.
Absolutely.
It's like, holy cow, I'm running out of energy, So Flamme Rouge, definitely a payoff playing that. You brought a game that I didn't even expect to be here, but I've read a lot about it, and that's Rainer Knizia Race El Dorado, which is nominated for a Spiel des Jahres.
Yeah.
So we played that with the German version, trying to struggle to find English. I thought that was a lot of fun. I was really pleased with that.
I did too, and it was weird because Alex got to play my copy a couple weeks ago at Empire, and he had a mixed reaction to it, and he was certain I wasn't going to be that crazy about it.
Well, maybe he didn't understand the German. Maybe he couldn't translate it the way we figured it out. But anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably not for everybody, but it's. I think Rainer did a great job at sort of an accessible deck builder that supports a race game, and a lot of fun.
And it's one of those those types of deck builders I like, where you're deck building but to accomplish something on a board.
Yeah.
And it is a race. You have these different hexes. There's a ton of variability in the setup. You have these double-sided pieces. There are these different terrain types that you need different types of cards to traverse.
Yep.
There's some deck thinning, there's some purchasing, some economy. It was really good. I really liked it. And so far, having played just that in King Domino, easily it's the one I'm hoping for. Still need to play Magic Maze, which is supposed to be out relatively soon here in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't think it's my kind of game. I'm just those speed co-ops I get lost in a little bit.
Yeah.
So normally, and I do love the work of King Domino. I wouldn't be surprised if it wins, and I'd be happy for Bruno, and it's a very accessible game. I do think Race El Dorado might be the shining star, though, of the group, so I am, waiting to see.
I'm looking forward to more plays of it.
And I got to play Terraforming Mars, which I play a lot of, and it was played a lot here this week, and that's up for Kennerspiel, and I won a game, which I don't win very much. I love playing the game. I just happened to find a combo today that won. It wasn't by a lot of points. I didn't have a lot of cards played. It was just an engine I built among a few cards that all I had to do was spend money to run. And so if I play an ocean tile, I got 2 plants. If I had huge heat production and energy going to heat and ways to do it with other cards, and it was just a nice engine to run. It was fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Kennerspiel this year. I'm very curious.
Because that's a little more of a game that I'd expect to be nominated, but it's really fun. It's a good game, and we'll see. I think there's the Viking Raider game, and there's Exit. So which is a new kind of a game system, and that's the one that's been called up for the awards. So it's an interesting year to see what happens with the awards.
Yeah, certainly. So I just want to kind of talk a couple others. I got to play Flamme Rouge with you, which I thought was fantastic. The Dukes of Dice are a podcast about board, card, and occasionally
role-playing
games, exactly. And there was a bit of role-playing games this week. So Nick, you and I and Marissa got to play some 5th edition D&D that another staff person, Mike, was the GM for, and it was just some pre-generated characters. It was kind of supposed to be kind of an introductory thing, but we'd all played plenty of RPGs. So I was, what was I? Was I a cleric? No, that was in the.
No, I was the cleric.
You were the cleric. I was a sorcerer. I was the sorcerer.
She was the wizard.
Elf sorcerer.
And there was a warrior as well, right? So we had 4. No,
it was just 3 of us.
Oh, just 3 of us.
The D&D game. The D&D, not the speed dungeon, which I'll talk about.
So it was pretty good pre-gen characters. We pretty much did a one-shot, and it was ran with sort of like a very loose outline of a plot.
Right.
And we sort of filled it in with the flavor text we provided.
Yes.
It ended up being a ton of fun.
It sure did. And we started at level 3, so we got to kind of play around with some of the systems. If we just started at level 1, there's not a lot of cool stuff you can do at level 1. We wound up having to we came across a decimated goblin camp that a giant beaver had stolen their god tree. Essentially, we had to figure out what caused it, how to cure the beaver. At some point, my soul was stolen by a dryad, which I had to make sure to peacefully fix the beaver, not just kill it, to have my soul restored.
Who was named Beaver Kiss?
Beaver Kiss, yes, which was a reference to one of the new Mystery Science Theater. I forget what it's called now, but it was the first one on Netflix now. Reptilicus. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed, pen and paper RPG. And then today, you and I and Marissa and Raquel, we did a speed dungeon, which same guy Mike ran, and basically this used a lot of the Dwarven Forge miniatures. A lot of money was on the table.
Those Dwarven Forge terrain tiles are amazing. They
beautiful.
They look absolutely beautiful, and you had all the right transitions between the different types of rooms. So probably it was easily a 3 foot by 6 foot area that was covered in different connected rooms of these really awesome tiles with magnetic things on the walls to position the shelves and the doors.
Candles that lit up. Torches that lit up,
colored and flickered. It was an amazing immersive experience.
Yeah, and I didn't play too much 4th edition D&D, but I suspect this was kind of heavily taken from kind of the tactical combat from 4th edition D&D. And basically we had an hour to get through as much of the dungeons as we could. Kind of very simplified thing, but you're rolling d20s to hit and different spells and things like that, and seeing how far we could advance. We were, out of 8 sessions, we advanced the second most. The last group finally beat us and advanced into the second to last area. But it was a lot of fun.
That was a ton of fun. I'd definitely do that again. And being able to see all that Dwarven Forge stuff on the table at the same time, it's pretty amazing.
And Raquel has joined us. Raquel, did you enjoy the speed dungeon?
I definitely did. I feel like I could have done better had I realized one of my abilities sooner. But yeah, it was fun.
So it was cool. So there's our occasionally RPG segment. So we're good for 6 months now. The other game I got to play was Ethnos that, Mike, you taught. And this is from Cool Mini or Not. And the idea here is it's kind of a rummy-style game where you're trying to lay down melds of either the same race or the same color of cards. And there's an area control element to it as well. So depending on what color you're laying down or what your lead color is, if you're laying down a race, you're going to add some counters to this board. And there's some classic area control scoring for first, second, third, etc. But what's really cool is the different races have different abilities. So like the Centaur lets you immediately play another meld if you have it. Or the Elves let you keep cards in hand because otherwise you have to discard the rest of your hand. So lots of cool little interactions, and there's 12 different races in the base game.
Yes.
And you only play with 6 at a time.
Right.
So you'll see some variability.
I heard about a promo tribe that I guess Mark has, but only really important, I guess, people can get that because it's long gone now. I can't seem to find it anywhere, but hopefully it'll get in the regular set sometime. But yeah, what a fun game, and it goes quick. I mean, me and Rummy. I mean, that's something I love, and
you know a little bit about Rummy.
It's a Rummy area control game, and each race, some of the races have a little different board. You do something different with. And it's Palamori who did Libertalia and some other wonderful
Dogs
games.
of War.
Yeah, I think it's really, really fun. I think they have something that's going to surprise them at CMON and how big it really is because it's a lot of fun.
So there was a lot I liked about the game, an absolute lot. Now, initially, you have a gallery of, is it 2 cards per player? Is that what the setup is?
It's double the number of players in the first offering that you can draw from. Yeah.
And then once those are gone, you're basically drawing from the top of the deck until someone discards from hand, and then those discards are available to pick up. But I say a good portion of the game is everyone just top decking.
That's correct.
I found that a little frustrating.
Okay. Of course, I have played Rummy and card games since I was 3, and I'm not 3 anymore.
Yeah.
So I've done it a lot. To me, there is absolutely no issue with that.
Okay.
Because here's a deck of cards. I know exactly what's in the deck. I know exactly the kind of I know that I'm drawing one of those cards or in the deck.
Sure.
So to me, the idea of like chaos or randomness or lack of choice doesn't bother me. The game, and I appreciate the old school approach of the game. It has some pretty sophisticated powers, but you can sit there through a game and go through some bad draws.
Sure.
You can lose the game because you don't draw maybe the precise cards to make your melds, but it's a fun game. So to me, that's almost a feature because it heralds back to card games, to traditional card games where you draw a card from the deck. But because when you make a meld, as you said, you have to put the rest of the cards in the offering, that and everybody's going to grab from there right away. That does give enough agency for me in that.
Okay.
At least I'm happy with it. I understand what you're saying. I know it's not a long game.
Sure.
And it is fun to do the combo. So I think it's going to do well in spite of that. Although there will be people who will just say, "Well, I'm not a fan of just doing that the whole game."
Well, and I think when I'm looking at a game like anything in the Mystery Rummy series, right? At least you have that discard to pull from if you want, and that becomes an interesting decision of because there's no discard in Ethnos, except when there's no every turn you're discarding like in most Rummy games, and that's always a really difficult decision. Oh, I can't discard this because I'm trying to make this meld eventually, but I don't want to give them this card, and I like that decision. But you have that extra choice. I can because in a lot of the Mystery Rummy games you're drawing 2 off the deck, right?
Yes.
Or one face up from the top of the discard pile.
Funny,
so. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I think that if you took out the extra stuff, you took out the board, I have less problems just drawing cards from a deck, but because there's some more stuff going on, I don't know.
And there's issues with the game, I think, about the audience for it and the theme and a couple of little things, and the production may not be the best ever, but it's a really fun game. In fact, a funny story about exactly what you're talking about. Yes, Mystery Rummy was all the regular games in a series have a choice of picking from the discard pile or drawing from the deck. The Legacy game, when I was at a gathering of friends a couple of years ago, I'm playing, and Mike McRee, who ran Hasbro Games for a long time, he's still consulting game companies, he's playing, and he keeps saying, Mike, I got a card in my hand, I can't use it, but the next guy can really use it. So if I discard this card and we're drawing the discard pile, I'm just handing him a card, and yet it's not going to do me good.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, Mike, I understand that happens with this setup because of how the game works. So we're starting a new rule right now, like generating into trying something. You may not pick up the top card of the discard pile. So in that game, you start by drawing 2 and getting a little resource token, and that's it for every turn. Now you have ways to go into the discard pile in the game that you've got either set up or spend some resources for. But he was absolutely right, because it's not good if you're only feeding that next player. So what's interesting about Ethnos is you're getting points and you're getting area control, and you're making the decision that that's worth putting these other cards on offer for everybody. But you don't do it every turn. So it's kind of it's always a little different depending on the design and what's really best for the game.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Any other games that jumped out at either of you this week?
Well, we had a baseball highlights 20-45 second mention tournament. Which I won. I very rarely win these tournaments. I was crushed when I went to
this was all of their first time, though, right?
Yeah. They had played the app.
Okay.
But yes, there were 3 beginners, relatively strong players, and we had a lot of fun. I decided, and they asked me, would you play hard?
Yeah.
Because some of them I feel bad if I'm filling in a slot to make up the right number, and I'm going to try to show off.
Right.
Fortunately, I'm not good enough to really show off, so most of the time I get beat, and they think I'm being nice.
Yeah.
But this time I actually did win. That was fun.
Cool.
So another one that came to the table a couple times for us was Clank. So my girlfriend seemed to really like Clank.
Yeah.
So something tells me that and the expansion are probably going to add to my collection here pretty shortly. But I think we taught 3 other groups that game in the course of playing it a few times.
So did you play Clank 4 times then?
3.
3 times.
3 times total.
Okay.
And so it was a close second to Terraforming Mars for the number of times sitting at the table. But she really liked it, so I think it's going to add to the collection.
Okay, cool.
I got to play Lorenzo El Magnifico. That was an amazing game. And also the bowl and cube game with Tony.
Strike. Talking about Strike from Ravensburger.
That I don't know the name, but it's called the bowl and cube game.
So Lorenzo El Magnifico, I thought was really excellent. It's worker placement, but you have certain thresholds that are variable every turn of what your workers are capable of doing. And there are ways to kind of mitigate that. There's some production. There's so much. And I talked about in the last segment briefly that I just need to convince Alex how to, for us to review this. So I need to work on that. So, but I really enjoyed that, and I would not turn down another play of it before the night's over.
Possibly right now.
I actually have that game finally, but haven't gotten it to the table yet. So
Okay.
what do you call that? You
Shelf
guys call
of
it the
shame.
shelf of shame.
Shelf
right?
of
so
shame.
that's sitting on my shelf of shame at the moment, but I'm going to take care of that soon. Played Clank with my wife for the first time. One thing happened with her this week is that she started to ask me, could I teach her some of these heavier games?
Oh.
We normally play, midway to lighter games. She enjoys them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think here, seeing so many people interested in and playing the bigger games. So we did play Clank. She likes Deck Builders, the one she's played. She hadn't played Clank before. We go through there, and I get so much Clank. And the first attack, I get when 5 blues come out, I'm the blue player, and I'm in trouble, right? So she figures out I'll get some points to get out, and I actually die before I get out, but I'm in the top half. So the way the rules go is I still score, but I don't get the 20 points to get out. I beat her by 2 points. Ooh. It was that close. I had a lot of cards in the deck to score. But Clank is such a good game.
It really is.
And appeals to a lot of people. It's easy to pick up, and it's just so much fun. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, there was a time period. So I played Clank a bunch. We did the review, and then I played Tyrants of the Underdark, and I think I started to like Tyrants of the Underdark more. But I'm back on the Clank bandwagon. I think I really enjoy Clank. I think it's really fantastic. It's just really solid.
I like Tyrants as well, and I think those two, their staying power is going to be driven by how the expansions change those games.
Yeah.
So as Tyrants releases additional half decks, and as I don't know if any additional expansions are planned for Clank. Beyond,
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
So as those expansions add to those two games, you're going to see which one is going to more frequently come to the table.
Okay.
Have to see for expansions.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Clank is a little bit more accessible, and it's not as mean in certain ways because there's not that direct conflict.
Well, it also doesn't have the IP-related MSRP shelf,
right,
to jump up to. I think it's $79 is its MSRP.
Yeah, it's an expensive title.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, before we kind of wrap things up, this was a gaming vacation, so there was stuff that we could do here in town. Just kind of want to talk about what everyone's highlights were from that.
So I think what one of the things that we really enjoyed is today they opened the gondola to go up to, I think it's peak 7 and 8, if I remember correctly. So this gondola that goes up to the different ski resorts then gets to another resort that I guess has a relationship with this one that we stayed at. So we had lunch and a beer up there, looking at all the now they're dirt slopes, but they would have been ski slopes, and then did a alpine sled down from the top of one of the ski lifts. So that was pretty cool. Something I'd never done before. I'm glad to be able to integrate that into a gaming vacation.
Very cool.
Yeah, so my wife and I love to walk, and we're from Boulder, Colorado area, which is not too far from here. It's about an hour, 50 minutes to get up here to Breckenridge from there. But we're even closer to the mountains here, right? So when we do the little walk here, we're walking up something called a Cucumber Gulch.
Yeah.
And it's a wildlife preserve area, and you're going through woods and up and up and up with these beautiful views of the mountains, and we see a moose. Now, all around here, they have moose safety rules. So the first thing they'll tell you is, when a moose is walking towards you, he's not trying to be friendly. I mean, with all the other nice animals you run into, moose are not in that category. So basically, say if the moose is walking towards you, run and put something between you and the moose as soon as you can.
Wow.
because if they decide to take off, these are huge animals. I couldn't believe it, the size of this moose. He was a distance away, and he actually ran away. I think he heard us or something, and just his instinct was just to run away, fortunately.
Yeah.
Well, what a large animal, a beautiful animal. But, this is their territory, their home, so you got to be careful. But the hiking here is great. Next year, they're going to go to Utah, Park City. There's going to be lots of nice hiking like that, too. So I know my wife and I are in.
Yeah.
Because that's just to be out in the clean air in the country. That's certainly our favorite thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of wild animals, Raquel, what was your highlight?
I saw a fox and I want to take it home, but I was made aware that they're not legal in New Mexico.
Well, you actually, you didn't just see the fox. The fox was your animal companion for an afternoon.
That's correct. It followed me around Main Street and to the park, and yeah.
So that evening was you saying, "Can we get a fox? Can we get a fox? Can we get a fox?" I looked it up, and there's actually a number of petitions for our governor in New Mexico to legalize foxes as pets. Whoa. So we will be signing the petition. I may or may not be hoping the petition doesn't succeed, but I'll at least sign it. So, I kind of talked about this a little bit in the other segment, so I don't want to duplicate too much, but I really loved this town. I thought the town was just really cool. Lots of cool shops, some great restaurants, and it was really close. It was really cool. So definitely different. This was different than your traditional con experience. There were other things to do, and certainly as someone who likes to game all the time, sometimes I felt torn away from the gaming. but it was really cool, and I could see us bringing the girls to this in the future. I wasn't quite sure how kid friendly it was going to be, but I think that especially next year Chewy's going to be 4. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, I thought this was really cool. So I'm really glad that we got to enjoy this experience. So, all right. Well, I want to thank everyone for helping out with the podcast. Mike, thank you again for joining us for the 5th time.
I tell you, I love the whole thing that you guys do. I listen all the time. I think it becomes obvious after a while. And anytime you want, by the way, you can stop saying Baseball Highlights 2045. I mean, it's fun, but I don't know.
Do you think I can stop Alex from doing that?
Probably not.
There are a lot of things I can make Alex do. That is not one of them.
But, it's interesting because that game continues to grow and not for everybody, but boy, the people that do enjoy it, they really get into it. And it's just been a pleasure to watch it happen. And,
yeah.
Of course, I have to keep coming up with more content for it, which we're doing. We have some things coming out.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
But I just love you guys. And now that I don't do Ludology anymore, I got more time basically to listen and absorb. And it's fun to be guests on stuff where I'm not sort of having to discuss one topic. I can just rant or do whatever I want to do. So I thank you guys for that opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to have you. Nick, thank you, buddy, for being our roomie.
Hey, no problem. Anytime, Sean. It was a great experience. It's good to meet you for the first time, Mike. We've played a couple of Baseball Highlights 2045 tournaments, and it's nice to finally put a face to the name. So I think we had a great experience this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Raquel, final thoughts?
Nope.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah. No, I'll just wrap it up and just say, great experience, lots of great people, great games, and it was a ton of fun. So thanks to Icarus Tours, Mike Canavan for putting this all together. All right, thanks everybody. Well, it was an absolute pleasure getting to attend Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation, getting to meet a bunch of new gamers that were there, getting to hang out with a bunch of old friends. It's always a lot of fun about these convention type things, although it's not, like you heard, a true convention. It's this new hybrid, which is really awesome. But it's always great to get to play games with a bunch of awesome people, which is what I got to do for a week. So I'm very thankful to Michael Canavan from Icarus Tours for making that happen. I definitely encourage you guys to go check out Icarus Tours because this is a truly unique experience. Truly. There are plenty of BGGs and Gen Cons out there, but this is something that really no one else is doing. So please go check that out. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Dukes of Dice. Got a busy week at work. Got to make up for being gone for a week, but that won't interfere with any Dukes of Dice stuff. We'll have more episodes coming out. Excited to see what's going to happen in the next couple months. We've actually got our 3-year anniversary episode coming out in just under 2 months. We're going to start to put some stuff on the guild to kind of talk about what we want to do to celebrate that milestone. 3 years of the Dukes of Dice. That is absolutely crazy. So keep an eye out for that over in the guild. But that's going to do it for this episode 147, Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation 2017. Until next time, this is Sean, and Hail Hydra. Thank you so much for listening to the Dukes of Dice. Today's episode was recorded in the Ducal Embassy in Breckenridge, Colorado, during the week of June 5th, 2017. Our theme music is provided by Carbohydro M from his Prime Legacy album. The Dukes of Dice are a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. For other great board gaming podcasts, check out DicetowerNetwork.com. And for all the latest in the Dutchie, go to DukesofDice.com. Find us on Twitter at Dukes of Dice, join in conversations on our Board Game Geek Guild, find us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks to our sponsor, Tasty Minstrel Games. Check out all their awesome titles at PlayTMG.com. We'll see you back here in 1 week. Until then, game on!